What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about the GOAT of 30 cals, the 300 PRC. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that your current 300 Win Mag's the GOAT, or maybe it's your 300 Wisdom, or maybe it's your 30-06, or if you're a Midwest guy who hunts the back 40, you're thinking the 308. But I'm here to tell you, it's not. It is not. 2018, let's go back. Sammy approved the 6.5 PRC and the 300 PRC at the same time. So why the need for another 30 cal? The 300 Win Mag is America's top-selling 30 cal. It does things very well. We'll run through the ballistics later. But why the need for something else? Well, SOCOM came to Hornady and said, we need a greater hit probability on the enemy. We need to be able to reach out and touch enemies at 2,000 plus yards. So a couple smart guys got together. It was already kind of in the works. The 300 PRC wasn't just like this 2018 thing where we decided to come up with a 300 PRC. It'd been being worked on since the early 2000s. They wanted a 50% hit probability, and so they came up with a higher BC bullet that was longer that they could see to coal at 3.7 inches. Basically, eliminating some of that free bore to keep that bullet from yawing in there. Basically, if you think of it like this, there's less head space in there because the 300 PRC is a non-belted magnum. It gets in there more efficiently and just flies better. Let's talk about it. So I built a 300 PRC. I'm no stranger to the 300 PRC. My 300 PRC was a bear killing machine. We have this bear in Colorado that was eating my elk carcass. We have that bear that I met on that old logging road at 20 yards. We also have that bear at 1,008 yards that was running that sow.
Drilled him. And
then we have the one with my buddy Wyatt with that Cryptek dip 300 PRC that hammered that bear at 750 yards.
oh, crushed him.
The 300 PRC absolutely hammers. If you want to know anything about the 300 PRC, I want to burn this into your brain, okay? Ready? More energy on target, less wind drift, and higher BC bullets going faster. What more can you ask for? All while realizing manageable recoil. Recoil's everything when it comes to these 30 cals. Yes, it matters how you kind of configure these builds. It matters your barrel length, the overall weight of the build, but it's not fun shooting a 30 cal that absolutely kicks the crap and annihilates your shoulder. But Eric, is the 300 PRC too much for deer? No, and here's why. My buddy Paul, on the last day of season, we had this gnarly looking buck about 300 yards or so.
There you go. Got him.
What I'm getting at here is it matters where you place the bullet. Paul tucked a 212 grain eld-x right behind the shoulder. The buck went 20 yards, tumbled in the snow. Now, had he put that bullet on the point of the shoulder, that buck would have had spine shot and put him right down, face down in the snow. Now, would it have ruined any more meat being in the snow? Maybe of some portion, but too many hunters look at how the animal reacts to the bullet. You could have taken that 22 Creedmoor and put that point in the shoulder and dumped that buck in the snow. The point is, the 300 PRC is good enough for antelope. It's good enough for mule deer, whitetail deer. It all depends on if that's what you want. Paul placed that bullet perfect. Buck went 20 yards, and as I said, died in the snow. My brother Muley Aaron, on a recent spring bear trip, we had a giant black bear feeding on a hill, facing away at 450 yards. One shot from the 212. Bear took 5-10 steps and just tumbled down the hill.
He hit him. He's dead. Okay.
Dead as dead can get. The biggest surprises for me on the 300 PRC, if I will say, accuracy and extremely manageable recoil, especially in these custom builds that we're doing. What's really interesting here, if you can see that, the 300 PRC was developed around a certain bullet, that being the 225 grain ELDM. Now we're going to talk about different bullets, and we're mostly going to compare the Hornady 212 grain eld-x, but The fact of the matter is the 300 PRC was built around the 225 grain ELDM. Something the 300 Win Mag can't shoot. Is also SAMI approved for a 1 and 8.5 inch twist, which is going to make that bigger, heavier bullet. It's going to go faster, and it's going to stabilize that bullet. Something else the 300 Win Mag can't do. After much repentance, I went back to the 300 PRC. Now, you've seen the 6.5 PRC video. You see my 22 Creedmoor. Do I absolutely love the 22 Creedmoor? Yes. Do I love the 6.5 PRC and think it's one of the most universal calibers of all time? Yes. But I forgot how much I love the 300 PRC. And this video and this rifle build, it rekindled my love for the 300 PRC. I forgot how much this thing hammers and how little recoil it is. But before we go into anything further, let me show you my all-new 300 PRC. Starting with the barrel, I went with a 1 and 8.5 twist 22-inch barrel. Now, I decided to go with a 22-inch barrel just because if this was a gun that I wanted to hunt moose with in the swamp or in the brush, I wanted something a little bit shorter, especially if I'm going to suppress it, which I am. It's just going to be easier to maneuver around. Backpackability is still going to fit in the Muley Freak rifle cover. Next, this is my first experience with the all-new Muley Freak Wombat Long Magnum Action. Really excited about this. Check this out. Smooth, stainless steel skeletonized. It's an absolutely smooth 90-degree bolt throw, something I'm really excited about. And best of all, the serial number is MFW 00003. Now, tell me that's not cool. Also, Travis's KS1 stock here. High cheek comb, so you're going to get a good cheek well as you anchor it in. Big fan of the arc rail here. If you're ever shooting steep angles, you can slip this in the tripod and really anchor in there. Integrated Atlas rail here for the bipod you want to run. Trigger Tech special trigger there. Hawkins Precision bottom mill, Hawkins Precision reins, all topped off with a Night Force ATAC R 5-25 by 56 first focal plane Mil C reticle. First experience with the ATAC R as well. You're probably thinking, gosh, that's kind of a heavy scope to put on that, gun with all the lightweight components. Yes and no. I mean, I want a gun that's going to be shootable. I want a gun that's going to have a little bit weight behind it when I sit down there uphill or downhill so I can kind of buck that wind. That's why I kind of built this the way I could. Now, if I put a 7-inch suppressor on it, it's still got a good length. I'm still going to get some good velocity out of it. And yeah. Before we go shoot at the range, I want to point out a couple things here about the 300 PRC that was big in the development of it. Now, number one, the bullet seats high against the shoulder. It's not down into that powder column. The benefit there is with the bullet not being down in the powder column, it allows for faster burning powder, first off. And for those uphill and downhill shots, you're going to get more consistent speed. So smaller standard deviation, which is inherently going to be more accurate at longer distances. So that's a big one. Higher BC bullets, longer, less free bore, and more consistent speeds with the way that bullet sits in there. So I haven't shot the 300 PRC caliber for a while. Let's go take it to the range and see how I really feel about it. Now that I've had some time behind the 22 Creedmoor, had some time with the 6.5 PRC as of recent. Follow me, let's go. Officially winter, folks. The things we do for YouTube. We've all come to love the long shot camera, so we'll set up the long shot camera. We'll get some good measurements, get this thing shooting on paper, group it a little bit. Again, it's not broken in, so I'm not gonna get too wound up about the groups and the groups it shoots. It's just some factory ammo, 212 grain Hornady eld-x. And now the great thing about the 300 PRC is it comes in a twist rate at 8.5, so you can shoot those heavier bullets. As I said in the video before, this cartridge was designed for the 225 grain ELDM. That's what's different about this 300 PRC versus the 300 Win and some of the other 30 cals, the traditional 30 cals 3008, which I know I'm gonna get a flood of comments about that. So let's sight in the 212, get her bore sighted, get on paper, group it a little bit, and then stretch it out, see how she performs. What I'm gonna be measuring here is recoil, my ability to recover, get back into the scope, trace my shot through that. We'll see how the suppressor does with a large 30 cal, And overall, just kind of break it in and have a little fun with it. I'm telling you guys, the 300 PRC is an absolute treat. I'm gonna show to you that it's the GOAT of all 30 cals. And if you're gonna shoot a 30 cal, the 300 PRC is the one you should go with. King bench. There you go. New session, rifle, 1700 to 5,000 feet per second, check. Enter projectile, sure. All right, boom, we're ready to go. So, 300 PRC, we have 212 grain, 8.5 twist should be perfect for these bullets. If it's good enough for 225, it's gonna be good enough for 212. Before we do that though, I am going to take the Muley Freak Wombat out of the receiver there, take these glasses off, and line this guy up. That's freaking money. It's ATAC R. Is pretty legit. Line up the crosshairs with the bore. It should be close. Put that in here. Gonna take out this detached mag. Okay, got 3 rounds loaded. Gonna go ahead and get a fouling shot going. Literally, I'm just blowing debris, machine work, whatever out of the barrel. It's kind of a safety thing. A lot of guys get scared doing it. Ready, set. There we go. First shot, safe, no problem. Second shot's ready to go. Again, I'm a huge advocate in making sure that's twisted on good. Now I'm gonna confidently get behind the gun and send one down range. Again, I'm just trying to put this on paper. I'm really paying attention to how this gun handles recoil. Close to 10 pounds, just a hair under 10 pounds, should buck recoil really good. It's gonna be better than your Rum, your Norma, maybe even your 300 Win Mag, although it does have 2 more grains of water capacity. So, see how she handles. It wasn't too loud in my opinion. How was it, cameraman? Was it loud?
No.
Didn't feel loud?
No.
Definitely jumps a little bit.
So compared to the 22 Creed and the 6.5, it is louder.
It is?
Yeah. There's a little more snap in it, but it's not bad.
It definitely jumps, but like I don't notice it, although I do have a lot. I do have a puffy on right now, so it's like how much of that is going in. I'm gonna make an adjustment here, just pull these legs in. Oh, I've never played with this worn bipod. It's kind of nice, kind of like it. So one thing you notice I want to talk about in this video, I decided to go, obviously that shooting bag from Travis, it's the perfect hunting bag. But when you're on the bench, I feel like there's more inconsistencies because of how you're positioned. So bench shooting, I kind of always make fun of the guys shooting out of a sled because that's never how you're gonna hunt. But being consistent is key, and having your bipod and having a consistent bag that's kind of more or less always the same in the back, I think that's gonna get me better groups. Not that this video is about shooting groups with the 300 PRC, but I'm just saying that's why you'll notice I'm using this one in this video as opposed to the 22 Creed video or the 6.5 PRC video. So, just a little heads up there. Here we go, one more. I'm pretty sure I know where that one is now. I know exactly where I'm hitting now. But I'll go ahead and sight this in, but I first want to talk about recoil. Like, I'm not noticing a lot of recoil. Maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe it's because I've got all these layers on because it's a lot colder. Maybe it's something to do with this new bipod I'm shooting. I don't know. I would say it's something to do with the layers, and the gun's just balanced really well. 22-inch barrel, long Magnum action. We got this heavier ATAC R on it. I'm literally don't notice any more recoil over my 6.5 PRC, and I'm telling the truth. So maybe I'm a complete idiot. Maybe it's all the layers on here on my shoulder because I was shooting in, you know, not a puffy vest and a puffy coat, obviously, before when I was shooting the 6.5 PRC. But wow, I am shocked at how this gun recoils. We're gonna go ahead and shoot the target that we have the long shot camera on. Now that we got the fouling shot out of the way, we got 3 rounds. I know more or less where this gun is shooting. I'll put it on paper now here for the camera, and we'll shoot it. Like to give it a little trigger pull when it's not a live round. By the way, that shot was 28.69. Anyway, I wasn't on paper that first shot, so I took 2 more, and now I'm on paper. So now let's see if we can group this. Pretty good shot there. Looks like I need to come back a little left and just a little low, but 28.71 feet per second. Again, not feeling the effects of the recoil. I think I flinched one time. Definitely wasn't that shot, but yeah, handling pretty good. Honestly, 300 PRC, pleasure to shoot, packs a punch, the ability to, should I say, shoot a faster burning powder. It's going to make those uphill and downhill shots more accurate because you're going to get less standard deviation is what you're going to get. Less standard deviation, more accurate. Lots of ways you could hot rod this if you want to. Because listen up, guys. I don't want to hear how you've hot rodded your 308. I don't want to hear how you hot rodded your 300 Win Mag. We're talking apples to apples, factory to factory. SOCOM had this cartridge developed to hit targets at 2,000 to 2,500 yards. We're talking human-sized targets, and I will say, as a bench gun, this was developed by bench shooters. Just a smooth shooting gun. Let's see how we can group. Let's see if I can make a better adjustment here and shoot the intended spot here on the paper. Woo-hoo, baby, were you recording on this? Holy dude, this thing shoots phenomenal. Little recoil. Again, this is just over a 9-pound build. It's going to have more weight here with this bipod. The consistent anchor of this rear bag makes it really nice for sporting. Obviously, I wouldn't carry this hunting. It's too big and too heavy. That one is at 28.61. We're 12 shots deep now. I think it's sighted in. We'll go ahead and shoot again and come up with an average and start stretching it out. But it's also important to keep track of how many you've shot. That way, if you ever go to sell your gun, or if you think that your gun might speed up, you have a good idea of how many boxes you put through it. So I'm actually going to label this box. This is the Muley Freak custom 300 PRC action, or serial number MF0003, and that way I'll kind of know which and how many I've shot through it in the event that I don't remember, or record some notes on your phone. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and stack these two. Give this gun a second to cool. Are you ready for a hack? When it's cold, your hands are freaking cold, just go ahead and put your hands right here on the suppressor. Okay. No, I'm really happy, seriously. I'm really happy with the way that shot right there. Here's another little hack for you. If you've had multiple rounds through the gun, you're doing repeat fire here at the bench, you don't want to chamber a round into the throat here because you don't want your load to cook. That's going to make your powder heat up a little bit and it's going to shoot different. So as I'm sitting here blabbing, I'm giving the barrel an opportunity to kind of cool down here. Those two are essentially touching. Wow. Not quite touching, but close. Really good shot considering. Put another group in there. I'm just going to continue to shoot that hole. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We're 12 rounds deep here. 28.93. So I'm just going to go ahead and get an average. So our average is 28.63. The box says we should be at 28.63. This says 28.60. So pretty close to the average of what we need to be at. These should be coming out of the same lot number 2. 8121663011. Yep. Okay, minimum 2760, max 28.99. That was that first shot, which makes sense, right? Extreme spread 139, which is a lot, but again, that was the first time breaking in the barrel. You're going to see some of that. Standard deviation 32. So should see some more consistency here now that we kind of break this guy in. I just put 3 pretty much in the same spot. So maybe I'm going to make one more adjustment here. Go down just one click. Now I'm going to move diamonds. I think we're good. Windage is good. I need to verify elevation here. Actually nice and cool, so you can shoot more repeatable more often because the weather is cool. So that does make it nice. One of the advantages is shooting in freezing weather. Okay, I'm going bottom left. Getting a little bit of mirage here. So it's getting a little harder to see, especially if I'm holding behind the gun longer. Check that out. I've got 2 bubbles in there. My bubble's literally split in 2 right there. It's that cold, I guess. I've got 2 touching right there. I'm gonna come down 1 more click and call it good. But those are literally almost in the same bullet hole. So happy to see that. Obviously, again, I've shot almost a box of ammo now through a 300 PRC, a Magnum cartridge, and I really don't feel anything on my shoulder. Granted, I have a puffy on and I have a hoodie, but again, suppressors bucketing a lot of that noise. I'm really not feeling the recoil. Very well balanced gun, 22-inch barrel. I'm getting some awesome speeds, still averaging. This is shot 18 now because 2 of the shots weren't on the Garmin, but 28.63 still, so pretty consistent speed there. Yeah, that shot even got better. So I'm going to go ahead and set 0 right there. You can see I put a bullet just above the tiny, tiny white diamond. I don't know how you get much better than that. I'm gonna go ahead and just set my 0 here. I'm setting 0 here. Me and Peyton were sitting here conversing. We're like, hey, we heard two tings there. And what I'm sort of thinking is there were 2 shots where I was already hitting paper and then they completely went off paper. I think when I shot some of the fouling shots, it blew perhaps some debris into the suppressor and you heard a ting. I don't really know because I'm not an expert. I haven't really seen that before, but my guess is it could have blown just some debris into there. Once the suppressor cleared out, I looked through this at one point and saw some cloudy stuff in there. I went and blew it out and then it was shooting fine. So just goes to show you that you need to shoot your gun. Don't just take it out hunting, and that there potentially is some merit to fouling shots and also breaking in your barrel. That was interesting. Just a little pro tip, make sure you back out these set screws a little bit. Otherwise, you're gonna place this cap on and you're not gonna have it lock and then it's gonna just move on you. So just make sure you back these set screws out, then you can get a true 0 that way. So that's what I just did there. Seems like I have to remember that every time I do this. All right, should have 0 set. 20 rounds now through the new 300 PRC. We're gonna stretch this out, put the mag view on, see if we can't ring some steel at distance. Go to the Hornady app here. Gonna build a new profile in this gun. Favorites, new gun, MF 300 PRC. Okay, here we go. 30 cal, 212 grainer. Perfect. 3.96 ammo rounds. Let's go. Again, one of the benefits of the 300 PRC is those long boat tail bullets. You got those faster powders. You're not gonna have as much interference with wind. Luckily today we don't have much wind, but let's go ahead and stretch this out to 720. Camera's rolling. I got it dialed, let's go. Have a hit at 720. It's literally almost dead nuts center of the plate right on the blue dot. I'd say we got a pretty accurate speed. I would say it's sighted in pretty well. You know, did we need to shoot 20 shots here at 100 yards? No, but we're also breaking in the barrel. This 300 PRC is an absolute pleasure to shoot. You couldn't convince me that there's another better 30 caliber than the 300 PRC. Hunting with it, packability wise, ammo, reloading, the power, the energy. You're gonna be putting more energy on target with the 300 PRC than you are the 300 Win Mag. You're blowing the 308 out of the water. This thing is clutch. So let's get behind it and shoot some more just for fun, just because we can. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go ahead and stretch this out to 1,025 yards. So let's go ahead, move the spotter, 1,025, hit record. So still, we're still getting 29, 28.62. Our average is still 28.62, so right on par with what the box is telling you. So if you didn't have a Garmin, could you rely on a box? Yes, maybe. But some guy wrote in the YouTube comments, I can't remember what he said, something about like how he had this hunt of a lifetime and had this gun, and only Hornady screwed him with the 7 PRC powder debacle, and he missed a buck or bull of lifetime. He didn't really specify the species, but I'm like, I replied to him, I said, hey dude, was it really Hornady's fault, or was it your lack of preparation? I wasn't trying to be rude, but I said, I mean that with all due respect. Go out and shoot your stuff. So anyways, here we go, 1,025. Missed that one. There you go. Hit! I was able to stay in recoil on that one too. That's 1,025 yards. My glasses were fogging up, so I couldn't really see the white steel. With the steel is white, and the background of the snow, I couldn't really see where there is a little orange dot, but I couldn't really see that well. So that hit the bottom left of the plate. So there is a little snow flurry coming in. So I'm gonna hold dead center again, just to see. Another hit. Bottom of the plate. Another hit. So it's a little low. The app actually called for 6.96. I was actually at 6.8. And you can't really do like 6.96, so I'm just gonna go ahead and dial to 7 and see what difference that makes. I will say, the Warn, I would like to see it on a little bit, not a slippery tarp, because it doesn't have the teeth in it like the NDT does. So I'm kind of getting a little bit of slippage here on this slippery tarp, which isn't ideal, whatever. This tarp is actually frozen to the shooting bench, and there's cinder blocks that are frozen on top of it. So I couldn't really deal with it. So I'm getting a little bit of movement, but it's not the bipod's fault. So there you go. Kind of disappointed because I'm slipping a little bit in here, especially when I add some pressure, but bringing still to 1,025. We're now 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 rounds deep in the all new 300 PRC. And honestly, pleasure to shoot. Like Seth said in the podcast, it really is a pleasure to shoot. It just does everything all the 30 cals do better. Honestly, again, I've said it 4 times now, with the snow, the white plate, the heat mirage coming off the suppressor, it's getting hard to see. So then you add a little bit of pressure to this and I'm slipping, still ringing, still 1,025 with the 300 PRC. It honestly is a pleasure to shoot. It's balanced exceptionally well. The new Muley Freak Action Fire, super smooth bolt throw, especially for long action. It's just very well put together. So let's head back to the office and break down other comparison cartridges, because I know what you're all thinking. What about the 308? What about the 300? What about the 300 Norm? What about the 300 Wisdom? All calibers I've shot. So let's compare ballistics, apples to apples, right now. So in conclusion, I want to talk to you about this specific build, starting with the shootability. Now, a lot of times people hear 30 cal and they're like, eek, I can't handle this recoil. Ow, my shoulder can't take anymore. Such wasn't the case with the 300 PRC, and that's one thing Seth and I delve into on the Muley Freak Grind podcast, that there's just so much more shootable than other 30 calibers. I remember specifically back to my 300 Wisdom. I took it to Kyrgyzstan, I took it to Mexico, and I feel like that rifle really did pack a punch. I'm no stranger to the 300 Wisdom. I took my ibex, 400, 450 yards or so.
You ready, Chase? Got him. Ready? Yes! Yes!
I took that giant typical mule deer, 197-inch typical, at 850 yards.
Over him or under?
Over him. Got him.
It's an incredible cartridge. It just balanced really well. Maybe it was that extra weight of the ATAC R. Maybe it's the way it was configured in that stock with the high cheek comb with Travis's KS1 stock. Maybe it's a balance of the suppressor. I don't know, but super shootable. I almost felt like it was as shootable as my 6.5 PRC. If you haven't checked out the 6.5 PRC on my new build here, you can check out a link right here. Overall, shootability was insane. It actually surprised me. So moving on next to accuracy. Wow, it was inherently incredibly accurate. And going back to that fast burning powder, the way that bullet seats up next to the shoulder, there's no powder interference. It's really hard to argue with the results from that 300 PRC. I didn't really measure the groups. I think I show it with the GoPro when we go up later to the target, like tons of those bullets were touching. Freaking lot of bullet holes touching there, folks. Lot of bullet holes. We didn't go to the extent of measuring the groups, but Peyton put it in because put this portion in even though we're done shooting because those groups are phenomenal. Again, I was just breaking in the barrel. And also I want to add, that really wasn't a fair comparison talking about the standard deviation and extreme spread. I was just blowing debris out of the barrel at first. So I'll do another video that I'm talking more about the standard deviation and extreme spreads when I'm getting with some factory ammo. Maybe I'll do up a custom load for it. I don't know. Comparing apples to apples, it's not fair for you guys in the comments to say things such as, oh, my 308 custom load can do this. Oh, my 300 Win Mag custom load. Well, that's not a comparison. We're talking factory ammo. And I'm a firm believer in the Hornady bullet. It's all I shoot. I've shot it for a long time. I do have some experience with Nosler. I do have some experience with Sierra. I do have some experience with Burgers. I shoot Hornady for a freaking reason. eld-x kills the crap out of stuff. It retains, it mushrooms, it transfers energy in the bullet. The M's do incredibly well. Although the M's don't have, not to get off on a tangent here, but the M's don't have an interlock ring and they have a thinner jacket. A lot of people say the M's shoot a little bit better out of their barrels, but you know, the bullet, the X is designed to kill better. I'm just going to say that. Not to say the M's don't absolutely annihilate things, because they do. It's just the X's are designed better. So I went shootability, I went accuracy, sexiness, that's obviously 10. We don't even need to discuss that part. And packability. One thing I talk about hunting packability, that's a big deal. Is it going to fit in the Muley Freak rifle cover? Yes. Is it going to snag on a whole bunch of branches? Maybe. Is it going to be balanced when I lay down at 8, 9, 1,000 yards? You've seen me shoot a bear at 1,008 yards with my other 300 PRC. That gun was balanced so well, I was able to lay down and crank on that rutting bore.
Drilled him. When
it comes time to get behind that gun, you've got to balance the weight, the backpackability, and your ability to shoot. Yes, I'm a proponent of getting as close as I can. The footage is better. It just looks better. There's a better chance of transferring that energy on your target when you're closer. So it's not like hoorah, hoorah, boom, boom, boom. I'm trying to scoot back and shoot something as far as I can. That's not the case. But when it comes time to lay down, you want to make sure that the backpackability, meaning the weight and how long it is, that's kind of my own little proverbial analogy or metaphor, if you will, of how I translate the gun into the backcountry. But it's got to be there. You got to be confident when you get behind it that it's heavy enough that your crosshairs don't sit here and wiggle. You get a little bit of wind, you get a little bit of a weird angle, and you want to be confident to be able to shoot. This gun, this build has all of that. The 300 PRC is a freaking rock star, and I never thought, as much as I used my 300 Norma, taking all those game animals that I did that year and trophy class animals, that I'd ever move on from the 300 Norma. That thing flat out just put things down. Watch that mule deer going on. Yeah. Crushed him. I wasn't completely sold on the PRC. I don't care if it's a freaking Hornady product. I wasn't completely sold on it. But the more I shoot it, the more I use it, the more I become sold. Now, let's compare other popular 30 cal cartridges with their provided bullet options here. So let's go to the 300 Wisdoms to start off. Okay, so the 300 Wisdom, you can see here, 200 grain eld-x. Muzzle velocity is 2820. Now, most people are going to be shooting 300-400 yards. So I just took the data off 400 yards. So the velocity at 400 yards on the 300 Wisdom is 2237. Energy at 400 yard is 2222. And drop at 400 yards is 20.6. Now, I'm going to compare it to the 300 PRC. And I'm going to make a comparison after I name off the new caliber, or the comparing caliber, and direct it right back towards the 300 PRC. So the 300 PRC, 212 grain eld-x. So a bigger bullet, 12 grains heavier, 2860. So you're getting more speed with a bigger bullet. Again, the 300 PRC, the magic is in those long, high BC bullets. 2860 velocity at 400 yards, 2334. We're already outperforming it. Energy, here's the big jump here on the energy, 2565. One thing Seth and I talk about in the 300 PRC podcast, there's more energy on your target. That's what SOCOM wanted. They wanted more energy on the enemy. They wanted a 50% probability to hit the bad guys at 2,000 to 2,500 yards. That's why they made this 300 PRC. This isn't a fad. The 6.8 Western's a fad. The 300 PRC isn't a fad. It's here to stay.
It was never a phase, Mom.
The drop, 19.3 inches. Again, with a 212 grain bullet, going faster, more energy, less drop. Maybe one, the upside of the Wisdom, the 300 Wisdom that is, short action, shorter bolt throw, reload quicker. That's one of the differences. Okay, let's compare directly to 308. Now, if I'm going to be honest, the 308 reminds me of a back 40 whitetail caliber. Hate me if you want. But I'm not trying to make fun of any of the Midwestern guys watching this video or any of the guys out east or down south who think the 308 is bomb. It's great. It's killed a lot of things. It's killed a lot of people. But the thing is the 300 PRC, it would have double that if it were around back then. So 175 grain eld-x going 2600. Slow.
I'm not slow, but I'm slow.
Velocity at 400 yards, 2004. Energy, this is kind of disappointing for the 308, 1567. And then drop at 400 yards, 25.2 inches of drop. The freaking 300 PRC blows it out of the water. And again, negligible recoil. And people are going to think negligible recoil. Just for the record, I'm not going to compare it to the Rum. I'm not going to compare it to 30 Nosler. I'm not going to compare it to any other 30 cals. We're just sticking with your most popular run-of-the-mill stuff. Now, arguably the most popular coming up, 300 Win Mag. Okay, so 200 grain eld-x. Now, I will say the 300 Win Mag is pretty freaking awesome. Like, I have a 300 Win Mag. I've killed a lot of stuff with a 300 Win Mag too. 200 grain eld-x going 2860, so right in line with the 300 PRC, but going slower. Again, remember, I'm going to go back to powder interference. I'm going to go back to that long, high BC bullets. Sit up high against the shoulder. You're talking those extreme downhill shots or those extreme uphill shots. You're going to get more standard deviation with the 300 Win Mag versus the 300 PRC. Faster burning powders. Bullets seated up higher. Out of the freaking shoulder, out of the neck. Velocity at 400 yards, 2274. Energy at 400 yards, 2297. Really some good stuff here. And 19.9. But again, I'm not even putting on the 225 degree ELDM, which is what the 300 PRC was designed for. A little bit of apples to apples. I don't want to hear in the comments about your custom loads, this and that and the other, because I'm not comparing a custom loaded 300 PRC to your custom loaded 308 or your custom loaded 300 Win Mag. So let's stop discussing that stuff. Now, if you feel like I missed an important 30 cal, hit me up. And then maybe we'll bring in on the next video some 300 Rum and some 300 Ultra Mag comparisons. But for now, we're comparing the stuff. Now, I will say the 300 Win Mag is probably the closest thing next to the 300 PRC. They're both long actions. If you're going on a hunt, let's say you're in the middle of nowhere Russia and you forgot your ammo or got lost or got stolen, and you had a 300 PRC, you might not be able to find some 300 PRC ammo. That might be the downfall. The 300 Win Mag, it's more, what should I say, common to find in a local sporting goods all across the world. I think that would be one of the advantages. But where we're in here and you're hunting mostly in America, I don't know. I think it's negligible. In conclusion, the 300 PRC just does everything better than the other. Is it the GOAT of 30 cals? You leave a comment, but in my honest opinion, the 300 PRC is the GOAT of all 30 cals. I'm going to be incorporating it into my hunting cartridge regimen from here on out because I forgot how much I loved it. You know, with my buddy Wyatt, we smashed a backcountry bear. I hit him high shoulder, folded him 750 yards. I was like, man, that 300 PRC is really nice. But I feel like this new KGM R30 just balances it better than that other silencer code suppressor I had on it. Because I thought that other 300 PRC that was in the Cryptek dip, cut to that clip, yes, that gun. I feel like it had more recoil. This is a little heavier scope with the ATAC R, and it's also a little longer suppressor. So I just feel like it's balanced better, or maybe I'm a better shooter now. I don't know. But the other reason I went with a 22-inch barrel on that one, kind of all over the place here, but the other reason I went with a 22-inch barrel there is because if I ever went on a moose hunt and I was in the swamp and I was going to be focused on brown bear and I was going to have shots that were closer, I put a shorter suppressor on there and I put a lighter scope, one that I could swing around the brush a little bit easier, one that I could backpack a little bit better with. I felt like the 22-incher was just nice. And in places where I can't run a suppressor and I'm hunting things at close range and I'm hunting moose or larger, dangerous game, I feel like that 22-inch barrel with the 300 PRC was the sweet spot. Now, if I wasn't going to suppress it, I'd probably go with a 24-inch barrel. I'm a huge fan of 24-inch barrel, more velocity. The Muley Freak Wombat action, this is my first build in the Muley Freak Wombat action with the long action. I absolutely love it. The bolt throws smooth. Standard 90 degree. Stainless steel. I've kind of went away over the last year and a half from the titanium actions because this new skeletonized Muley Freak Wombat is just so smooth and so light. You're not getting the sandy grittiness of the titanium. It's just a better action. So I really enjoyed the Muley Freak Wombat in that. If you're interested in building a 300 PRC, there's a 4-month lead time. You got to DM me on Instagram. You can find me right here. We've got almost 20 builds going at this point. Lots more to come. We'd love to help you out, customize a solution. You get to work with me hand in hand, and we get to put together a custom solution for you. So whether you want to do a 300 PRC, a 6.5 PRC, a 22 Creedmoor, even though there is a delay on those 22 barrels, 224 actually. But anyways, I'd love to help you out. So at any rate, we appreciate your support on the channel. Let us know what you think of this video in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. And did I miss anything before I say we'll catch you on the next one? We'll catch you on the next one.